Big complications.
Our strategy to go after this army is very, very simple. We're going to cut it off, and then we're going to kill it.
Prayers for Haiti hostages.
We need to track down where they are and do whatever we need to.
Vaccine protest in California.
Having children walk out of school when they desperately need to be in school.
Good morning. I'm Deborah Rodriguez with the CBS World News Roundup. Colin Powell, the country's first black Secretary of State and Joint Chiefs Chair, has died from complications of COVID-19 at the age of 84. His family says the retired four-star general had been fully vaccinated against COVID, but suffered other complications as well, including Parkinson's disease. One of Mr. Powell's highest profile moments was a speech at the UN in 2003, paving the way for the U.S. to go to war in Iraq.
Saddam Hussein and his regime are concealing their efforts to produce more weapons of mass destruction.
Powell was later criticized for inaccuracies in that speech. Correspondent Nancy Cordes is at the White House. She says Mr. Powell was
Someone whose counsel was sought by presidents of both parties, who was encouraged to run for president himself by both parties, served as chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Secretary of State, a four-star general whose parents immigrated here from Jamaica. He will be deeply missed here in Washington.
Former President Bush has issued a statement calling Mr. Powell a great public servant, starting with his time as a soldier during Vietnam, called him a family man and a great friend. Colin Powell's biography, My American Journey, urged others not to let race be an obstacle. A Christian mission here in the U.S. is pleading for prayers for 17 members, as many as 5 of them children, kidnapped at an orphanage in Haiti over the weekend. Correspondent Manuel Bojorquez is in Port-au-Prince.
The group that was kidnapped is affiliated with the Ohio-based Christian Aid Ministries, which helps pay for school tuition, uniforms, textbooks, and meals for Haitians. CBS News obtained a WhatsApp message from a person who claimed to have been in contact with the abducted group. The message read in part, "Please pray for us. We're being harassed, kidnapped. They have control of our vehicle." In a statement, the ministry said, "We request urgent prayer for the group of Christian Aid Ministries workers who were abducted while on a trip to visit an orphanage." Gary Pierre is the founder and publisher of the Haitian Times.
There's no functioning government, and the gangs rule Port-au-Prince and the country at large.
I'm Stacey Lynn in Washington. According to officials, the FBI and State Department are working around the clock to secure the release of those captured. A senior State Department official said in a statement, "We're engaging with Haitian authorities at the senior-most levels," adding, "The welfare and safety of U.S. citizens abroad is one of the highest priorities of the Department of State." The latest kidnappings come just days after high-level U.S. officials visited Haiti, promising more resources to help reduce gang violence.
Jury selection begins today in Georgia in the trial of 3 white men accused in the murder of a black jogger, Ahmaud Arbery. Correspondent Omar Villafranca is in Brunswick.
Demonstrators gathered in Brunswick, Georgia for the Justice for Ahmaud March, a day before the beginning of the trial for the men accused of killing Ahmaud Arbery. In February of last year, the state says the 25-year-old was out jogging in a Brunswick neighborhood when he was chased by 3 men, shot, and killed. It wasn't until the cell phone video of the confrontation was leaked and nationwide protests that the 3 men were arrested. Travis McMichael, the shooter, his father, Gregory McMichael, and the man who recorded the video, William Roddy Bryan, were all charged with murder, false imprisonment, and aggravated assault. Gregory and Travis McMichael told investigators they thought the 25-year-old was a burglary suspect. We spoke to attorney Lee Merritt, who is representing Arbery's mother, Wanda Cooper Jones, in a separate civil case against the 3 men and others.
I want to encourage sort of Brunswick citizens not to self-disqualify themselves. Just because you've heard about this case, just because you develop an opinion of the case, doesn't mean that you can't set that opinion aside and say, I can be fair, and that's the legal standard.
The Coast Guard now believes the massive oil spill off Southern California was triggered by a cargo ship that dragged its anchor in rough seas and bent the pipeline months before the coastline was coated in crude. The ship returned to port in Long Beach over the weekend. There could be lots of empty classrooms in California this morning.
The vaccine mandate, I don't think should be forced upon anybody.
Greg Gomez's daughter is a student at Laguna Creek High near Sacramento. He supports other parents taking part in sit-outs today to keep their kids home from school to protest mandates. Elena Schwartz does not.
Speak up for what you believe in. Let's let our kids learn and try to support our staff where we can.
California was the first state to mandate vaccines for all eligible children. First shots are required